Welcome back to the Women's Empowerment Podcast. My name is Dolores Andrew Gavin. I am an empowerment and an assertive coach, an author, a soul care practitioner, and a mum. And today I'm discussing the father wound. We talk a lot about the mother wound, and we don't often hear a lot about the father wound. We are told that we can hold the mother wound if we perceive we didn't get what we needed from the feminine, i.e., the soft, nurturing, feminine touch. I use the word perceive because, with the best will in the world, as a mother, our children can perceive something so different from the reality of the mother. The mother's story is what she perceives and is based on her life's circumstances. I often use the example and speak of the child who clings to his mother's leg when he starts school. We could ask, does he perceive, mother is abandoning me? When of course the reality is that mum is not abandoning him, but merely sending him to school. But for this particular child, they may perceive abandonment. Now this of course is dependent on the child himself and other circumstances in his life. And he will form a story in his head based on all these perceptions. What way the teacher deals with the situation, of course, adds another part to this story. If she is nurturing and reassuring, he will most likely feel better. On the other hand, if teacher is busy with other pupils, or possibly doesn't even know that he feels a certain way, then he will perceive this and add another layer to his story. These are the stories that weave our lives together, and they start at a very young age. However, there's also the father wound that we don't talk about as much in society, but is just as widespread. It's very much there and can be very active for a lot of people. The masculine energy is the polar opposite of the soft, nurturing, feminine energy. It's perceived as strong, firm, and protective. Now, of course, this does not mean in any way that a woman cannot have these energies. Of course she can. Rather, I'm talking about the characteristics of the energies themselves. Society, to the large extent, portrays the masculine as the provider, the hero, the saviour, and the one who must save the girl from herself at times, if not from someone else. If a child is brought up by his mum alone, then this mum has the task of providing both the soft, nurturing energy balanced with strong, protective and firm energies, and this can be a massive challenge. And of course, added to this, some mums may feel judged, insecure and vulnerable. Now, I speak to these challenges in other podcasts, but just know, mums, we all do our best in the circumstances we find ourselves in. Going back to the father wound, and for a child, even if they have a father physically present with them in their lives, they can still develop a father wound if the father is not present in a way that the child perceives they need them to be. Again, I say it's how the child perceives their reality. Children are very intuitive and are very good at knowing how to set their parents against each other at times. They know mum's weaknesses and dad's strengths, and vice versa. If a child feels a lack of masculine supportive energy, this can have a huge influence on a person's feelings around support in their older lives. If we didn't feel supported by the masculine, we may internalize this and have a weak inner masculine ourselves. Going back to what this stands for: protectiveness, support, being firm with ourselves. Now, this doesn't matter whether we are male or female. We all have these energies in us. What archetype we hear a lot about in relation to father is the daddy's girl, where daddy treats his daughter like a princess. How this girl grows up and perceives her power will be different there again for each child. Some ways we can see it as more overpowering is when she powers over others, expecting everyone, and most especially a partner, to do what she needs and wants him to do at the click of her fingers. We may also ask, will she tolerate other women whom she may feel are lesser than her because they hold and possess a more nurturing feminine energy than herself? She may have developed this belief from the way she was brought up. A daddy's girl can often have a harder life if she holds on to such beliefs, because sooner or later her own internal compass will demand balance. And she may find that her own power struggles manifest in her external world, as within, so without. One of the best ways to check the health of our own inner masculine is through taking a look at both our inner and outer dialogue and comparing it to what is the reality of our life story. Perhaps we have angry outbursts, but if we really look at this anger, it could be holding the hidden gem that holds the story of your reality. Perhaps your inner child is shouting or screaming to be protected by dad. Or perhaps the inner teenager, which again is not often spoken about. Perhaps he or she is craving the support of dad, whether he is physically there or not, and this doesn't even matter. It's support what they're really yearning for. What inner dialogue she has is internalized, and if it's anger at him for not being present, she may direct this anger at any or every man she meets. But underneath this anger may lie a deep, dormant sadness for the lack of his presence. The reality for us, or another way to say it is the truth behind our stories, can of course hurt, and we may fight against their reality, or even we may disagree with it. But when we learn to embrace where we are with our own inner masculine and our own inner feminine, we begin the journey of freedom to be just who we are without the associated grip. Our anger can dissolve when we allow space in for what it is we really yearn for. Maybe that's a supportive partner, or maybe we will just stop giving ourselves such a hard time. If you want to find out more about the work I do with people, you can check out my part of the web at www.celticsoulessence.com. Until next time, keep in